Welcome to our St. John DeMatha Council of Knights of Columbus TV program. My name is Remigius Kinto of the St. John DeMatha Council of the Knights of Columbus. Our program for today is with the ladies from the Femmes organization. With us today is the president of the Femmes organization, Mrs. Marianne Kreitzer, with her companion, Mrs. Terry Bukowski. Welcome to our TV program.
Thank you very much.
The topic for today is about the Catholic Church's faith, especially here in the United States, how it is facing a challenge of what these ladies told me is dilution of the faith. As you know, in the history of the Catholic Church, the lay people have been the backbone of the faith. They have defended it when it is facing challenges, even when the clergy run away from the forces of evil. These ladies are giving us a new challenge, that they are standing up and facing the evil that is spreading within our faith. One of the questions we have is, what is the Femmes organization?
Well, the name of our group is Les Femmes, the Women of Truth, and we took the name Les Femmes and used the French because our patron that we selected was St. Joan of Arc. Joan, we think, is a real example of a woman of faith and a woman of courage who was willing to follow God's lead and eject from her country a foreign power that was the antithesis of the Catholic faith. And we want to follow Joan's example and stand up for the faith, and particularly to stand up for the defense of the family, because there are so many forces that are undermining family life, particularly in the United States today. And whether those forces are coming from inside the church, from groups like Call to Action or the Women's Ordination Conference, who are very actively dissenting from church teaching and particularly values that affirm the family, or whether they're coming from outside, from feminist organizations like the National Organization for Women and other false groups promoting secularism in our society. We want to be a voice responding to that.
So your organization is basically of women?
Well, the leadership is primarily women, but we think that there's certainly a role for men. We love men. We're the group that loves men. We want to see fathers reestablished as head of the home, and particularly recognizing their spiritual headship and the responsibility they have for transmitting the faith to their children. But because of the undermining of men's roles by women's organizations, we think it's important that there be a woman's voice responding to that and standing up and saying, we think men are great and we want to see them reestablished in their role as heads of the family. So we have men and women affiliated with our group.
Well, there is a saying that if it is not broken, don't fix it. What is broken in the Catholic faith that you really are trying to fix?
Well, it's not the faith that's broken, it's the dishonest transmission of the faith by groups that have an agenda. So, for example, groups like Call to Action, which are radically dissenting from the faith but remaining in the church while they do it, are presenting to the Catholic laity who to a large degree, especially the younger members, have not been well catechized, and they're presenting a false faith. They lie about what the purpose of Vatican II was. They promote dissent as though it's doctrine, and we want to respond to that. And this book particularly, was written by Donna Steichen, and it's called Ungodly Rage, and it's about the movement of feminism in the church. And we believe feminism in the secular culture is on the wane and is almost dead. But the place where you find a lot of radical feminists, and many of them are nuns, I hate to say it, And many of them are in chanceries and in schools, parochial schools around the country, who are promoting their poisonous ideas to the young. And we want to see that stopped, and we want to re-evangelize the nation, and particularly through the family.
Well, when I was growing up in Africa, the Catholic faith was predominantly taught by nuns, and I think they did a good job. Terry, you mentioned earlier that there isn't much good teaching of our children.
The children are not being taught in the faith. I have battled Catholic schools to try to get the children to be educated in the way of the faith. For 30 years, I didn't know my faith. And then I went to St. Catherine of Siena in Great Falls, Virginia. And I had a wonderful pastor, and he laid down the foundations of the faith. And I found a wonderful school for my children where they're taught the faith, the true faith of the church. And they're taught the Baltimore Catechism. So through my children, at the age of 30, I began to learn my faith. And I think it's unfair these days, and basically false advertising, the way Catholic schools claim to be Catholic, and they dilute the faith, or they teach them things that are not the faith, that are opposite of the faith. We had a school where every year during the Passion Play, Jesus was portrayed by a girl. Now my son was very upset about that. He asked why couldn't he be the Blessed Mother. It confuses the children. It undermines their faith. The sex education that's taught at early ages, in Pittsburgh, for instance, it's mandatory or compulsory from preschool through 12th grade. It breaks down that barrier of modesty that the children have. So instead of being truly educated in the Catholic faith, as is taught through the Baltimore Catechism, they're, what would you say the word is?
Their faith is just undermined.